Welcome to CNN World Report. Here's a look at what's ahead. Young Bulgarians tell grown-ups to kick the habit.
Do Mommy and Daddy smoke?
Yes.
And do you want them to smoke?
No.
Japan's prime minister faces an identity crisis with Parisians. And the effect of France's revolutionary ideals on the rest of Europe. We bring you the news as reported by broadcasters worldwide. Hello, I'm Dave Michaels, sitting in for Ralph Wenge. We start with a look at the challenges facing two groups, children and young adults. Daycare is first on the agenda, just as it was during a conference in Finland this week. As Finland and other countries, especially in Scandinavia, move towards universal daycare, there are still questions about the impact this will have on our children. More from YLE in Finland.
The 10th biennial meetings of the International Society for the Study of Behavioral Development gathered some 850 scientists from every part of the world to the city of Jyväskylä in Finland. As plural discussions during the week touched upon almost every imaginable aspect of human behavior and its development, one of the most heated discussions was on daycare and effects it has on children. Especially the way daycare has been introduced in Scandinavian countries was criticized by some scholars. In Finland, for example, majority of babies are taken to daycare after they have turned 1. This is simply because most women go to work. New law taking effect next year will guarantee daycare for all children under 3 years old. At the Jyväskylä meeting, a Norwegian psychologist had this to say.
I also think that the society in many ways should encourage more parents to take care of their own children, because it's no doubt that putting a very young child into a daycare must be a stressing situation for the child.
As a matter of fact, Finland is hardly the society in the world to be blamed in this respect. Finnish mothers get 80% of their salaries for 10 months if they stay home with the baby. Practically everyone takes this opportunity. Furthermore, parents are encouraged to take care of their children at home till they turn 3. If a mother, or a father as well, decides to follow this path, she is secured by the law to have her own chop bag. And during those 2 years, the welfare pays her a monthly sum ranging from equivalent of $400 to $1,200. If there is something wrong about the daycare system in Finland, it is certainly not the options you get as a parent, but probably the treatment you sometimes get as a child. If bad daycare exists, it can be seen at least partly as a result of undervaluation of educated daycare staff. It's hard to find professionals for underpaid work in any field. If and when this is the case, there may well be cause for this argument by Professor Jay Belsky.
When care is of poor quality, or perhaps when it starts too young, the three things that show up in the research evidence are insecure relations between children and their parents, and at older ages, elevated levels of aggression and more disobedience toward adults.
Finland has chosen to provide daycare for every child. Hopefully the funds allocated will be sufficient to guarantee the quality. This is Petri Sarvamaa, YLE News, reporting for CNN World Report.
In Peru, self-help is the way indigent families are coping with such questions as how to feed and care for their children. In their search for a better life, these Peruvians are also getting some assistance from the United Nations. More from UN-TV.
Until 18 years ago, this area in Peru was barren desert. Overnight, slum dwellers from Lima occupied the land. An instant suburb was born. One of the many new towns around Lima, it now has a population of more than 350,000. Once a year, residents celebrate their savior, after whom the township is named, Villa El Salvador. At a time of acute economic problems in Peru, residents are faced with massive inflation and widespread unemployment. But Villa El Salvador has attracted international attention through self-help efforts to turn this former squatter settlement into a thriving community. Gloria Trio Vallejos is president of one of the town's mothers' clubs, which she runs from the front room of her house. There's an economic crisis, she explains. There's no construction work for my husband. That's why I started the Mothers Club. Food is donated regularly by the World Food Programme, which along with the UN Development Fund for Women, UNIFEM, is helping support mothers' clubs throughout Peru. WFP Project Officer Alberto Khan. He explains that a major aim is to provide nutrition for women during pregnancy and nursing. Women from throughout the neighborhood pitch in to provide low-cost meals for needy mothers and children. Average income in Villa El Salvador is less than $50 a month. Seed money for income-generating activities comes from the UN Women's Fund, UNIFEM. For example, mothers have developed an attractively packaged line of jams made from seasonal fruits. These have found a ready market in local food stores. A regular visitor is UNIFEM's Gabriela Garbajal. She explains UNIFEM has two objectives. One is to promote economic activities to generate income. The second is to raise women's self-esteem. Jam-making profits are used to subsidize the club's many activities supporting mothers and children. Meals at 10 cents a time, just one benefit of self-help mothers' clubs. Villa El Salvador, a suburb in the making, one of many places in Latin America struggling to turn a squatter area into a healthy community for a rapidly urbanizing population. With UN Television in Lima, Peru, this is Steve Whitehouse for CNN World Report.
Food, medical attention, and education are the focus of programs in Venezuela. Venevisión reports on one group there working to make things better.
When the reality of the social and economic conditions Venezuela's infant population live under are perceived through a direct contact, and when the sensitivity and commitment come to knock at our door, we then understand the importance of all those organizations who help children. For its overwhelming efforts, the Child Prevention Institute represents a great contribution to our children's development in the moral, material, and social aspects of their lives. Its programs are directly oriented towards the most needy and impoverished families. It is a non-profit organization which stresses on education, institutional coordination. To enter these organizations, volunteer personnel seeks future beneficiaries for this aid program in public schools in order to register them immediately. Their goal is the creation of an aid program providing such services as pediatrics, odontology, ophthalmology, special legal attention, and teaching, as well as other medical assistance, all at very low cost for the beneficiaries.
We're still not at the point of financing ourselves, but we'll manage to do so soon, because our medical consultation, though at very low prices, is not free, thus allowing us to pay the professional advice required. And our budget is partially covered to a 12% level, thanks to a government aid program, as well as private contributions.
As for religion, there is a yearly preparation for the First Communion for over 500 children. The Institute offers a party for them and their families. The Institute also organizes outings to historic sites, museums, and parks with the guidance of the volunteer personnel. The results have been fabulous for the public, and it's also a wonderful personal experience.
This institute has given me great satisfaction. Above all, the feeling one gets when you have fulfilled your task and collaborated to the well-being of those children with lesser means.
This is Yamile Castejon reporting from Venevisión, Venezuela, for the CNN World Report.
Here's a rundown of what's coming up in the rest of this half hour of CNN World Report. Taiwan's big test for teens. Britain and its homeless. Bulgaria on young smokers. South Africa on the Mandela meeting. And Global Vision on an anti-apartheid meeting.
No little cinnamon gum freshens breath longer than Big Red.
So kiss a little longer, stay close a little longer, hold tight a little longer, longer with Big Red. That Big Red freshness lasts right through it. Your fresh breath goes on and on. While you chew it, say goodbye a little longer, make it last a little longer. Give your breath long-lasting freshness with Big Red.
I'm a high school teacher and a football coach, and from that stress I get headaches. I started developing stomach problems and went to the doctor. I found out that I had an ulcer. At that time I was taking aspirin, not Tylenol. The doctor said that I could aggravate the ulcer by continuing to take the aspirin. So I asked him what I should do, and he suggested that I take Tylenol.
Mark Cunningham trusts Tylenol. Its pain reliever is in a class by itself.
Since I've taken the Tylenol, I've had no problems whatsoever.
Here are 4 good reasons why you should subscribe to the most exciting newspaper in the USA Today. 1, the most clear, concise news in the USA Today. 2, the most colorful sports in the USA Today. 3, every day money comes your way. 4, a new slant on life every day. Put these 4 colorful sections together and you've got the most exciting newspaper in the USA Today. And you can have all the excitement delivered right to your home or office by calling this number now. You'll get 13 weeks, 65 colorful issues for only $29.25. That's a savings of 10% off the regular price. And you can charge it. Plus, get a $5 rebate. You'll get timely bonus sections of all kinds, great reviews and forecasts, and a daily visit to every state. And the weather is always bright with a full-color, full-page forecast every day. USA Today is big send-offs and happy landings. It's star-studded and star-spangled. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's the most exciting newspaper in the USA Today. Get news, sports, money, and life. Call now.
Wise guy Ken Wall, Alan Funt who's angry, a Satanist turned comedian, and Wen is dating through the personal ads, dangerous business. All that and more all next week on Larry King Live, 9 Eastern on CNN.
We look now at some of the risks facing young adults. In Taiwan, this is the time when teenagers can make or break their future in one day. It all depends on how well they do on a once-a-year test offered each July. Although educators around the world are currently debating the accuracy of such tests, you won't hear any complaints from these Taiwanese students or their families. As TTV reports, they're too busy figuring out how to pass the exam.
It's Taiwan's entrance examination season again. Starting July 1st, hundreds of thousands of graduates from high schools and junior middle schools throughout the Republic of China on Taiwan recently sweated under almost unbearable heat and pressure in the annual university and high school entrance examinations. This year, over 110,000 high school graduates participated in the cutthroat exam. Only 40% of the examinees will be admitted to the 16 universities in Taiwan. In Taipei, 55,200 graduates from junior middle schools attended the high school entrance exam, and 19,483 will be admitted. Parents, grandparents, and relatives took lunch and drinks to the examination grounds around the island to encourage the university and high school aspirants. Some family members of the examinees occupy spaces with motorcycles as early as the evening before the examination day to reserve parking spaces at the examination grounds. During the 2 examination periods, Taipei traffic was paralyzed due to the flow of students to the examination grounds, leaving cars inching forward bumper to bumper on main roads. Despite the diligence of such families, it is the students who suffered most because failure in the exam means another year of struggle in cramped schools and disgrace for the family. Some of them have been taking evening courses for a year in preparation. Some have virtually lived in cramped schools, which often provide board and meals as well as mock tests on all subjects. The university and high school entrance examinations were only the beginning of the examination season on Taiwan. It will be followed by the examination for evening university courses, the examination for 5-year senior technical colleges, and the examination for 3-year technical colleges. This is Winnie Cheng, reporter for the Taiwan Television Enterprise, reporting for CNN World Report.
In Britain, it's called living in the rough. And although no records are kept, one organization for the homeless estimates there are 50,000 youths living in London alone with neither money nor homes. Independent Television News provides a view of the problem in Britain.
Eastbourne in Sussex, a place not renowned for homelessness. But 17-year-old Lee Hancock is one of a growing number of youngsters who find themselves out on the streets. The southeast is the worst area, with little or no provision for the young single homeless. Lee eventually found a place in a national children's home bedsit.
It's hard to describe what I've seen of the world while I was sleeping rough. I'd never want to do it again. I'm happy here. It's my home.
This car was home for 3 months to another teenager and her boyfriend. She says the council told her without a fixed address, she wouldn't be considered for accommodation.
There should be more for us, more for people like myself and other people. There's still people who are homeless, and I think a bit more should be done for them too.
For youngsters who head for London, the picture is equally bleak. Although by law, housing authorities must consider the needs of the vulnerable, they say more and more now sleep rough around the capital. But local authority leaders say there simply isn't enough accommodation.
We can't fail in our duty if we simply don't have the homes available. If we gave homes to young single people, then we wouldn't have homes for young families.
The National Children's Home also say benefit changes have made private accommodation increasingly hard to find. Unless more public housing becomes available soon, they say youngsters most at risk will be left to fend for themselves.
ITN reports the National Children's Home has just launched a fundraising campaign to create a hostel for homeless children in London. For the second year in a row, smokers in Bulgaria have been asked to put down their pipes and cigarettes for just one day and to consider putting them down for good. The emphasis was not just on getting people to quit. It was also an attempt to reach children and young adults, the smokers of tomorrow. Bulgarian television spoke with some of them.
Dobar den, I'm the Bulgarian Ralica Vasileva reporting specially for CNN World Report. 2,800,000 smokers every day, every hour. This amounts to about 2 kilograms of tobacco for each one of them, and Bulgaria has a population of just 9 million. The World Health Organization raised its red banner once again, appealing, tobacco or health, choose health. The Bulgarian Health and Public Organizations joined this appeal and declared May the 31st a no tobacco day. But let's see how things actually stand among some English-speaking Bulgarians. Will you smoke when you grow up?
Yes, I will.
You will? Why?
Because it will make me feel grown up.
It will make you feel grown up. And do Mommy and Daddy smoke?
Yes.
And do you want them to smoke?
No.
Why?
Because I hate smoke.
You hate smoke?
I'm 12 years old.
Do you smoke?
No, of course.
And do some of your friends smoke?
Yes, smoke. They smoke.
My name is Maria Nacheva, and we are 18 years old.
All of you are about 18 years old?
Yes. Some of us are 17 yet.
Yes. And how many of you smoke in your class, let's say? How many of you smoke?
In our class?
Yes. About, approximately?
About half of us, yeah.
How long have you been smoking?
Not too much time, but I smoke only from time to time. But my boyfriend doesn't, and I think it's very bad. It's terrible for him. Yes, for him, not for me.
Are you a smoker?
No, I'm no smoker.
As I see you're a smoker, have you ever considered leaving smoking?
Well, several times, but with no success up to now.
And do you think that May the 31st being Bulgaria's second no tobacco day will affect smokers in any way?
I don't think it will have a very great effect on smokers, but maybe, I don't know.
What about you?
It was a nuisance.
I'm Ralica Vasileva from the Bulgarian TV, reporting specially for CNN World Report.
In a moment, we'll tell you how to get this handsome designer telephone free. Something happens when you take a moment and freeze it. Right before your eyes, that moment takes on a whole new meaning. It becomes not only a captured piece of time, but a captured emotion. It's something only a picture can do. The power of pictures. Page after page, month after month, in Life magazine. Every month, Life brings you hundreds of powerful, striking pictures. Pictures that have the power to make you laugh, or smile, or cry. Pictures that can make you feel pride or anguish. Call this number right away. You'll receive this designer telephone free when you subscribe to A Year of Life. It combines a calendar, a convenient memo pad, built-in pen, and a push-button phone with automatic redial and mute button. Everything you need in a phone, all in one compact console. Just 4 monthly payments of $7.97 bring you the next 13 issues of Life, including these 2 special collector's editions, The Year in Pictures and Decade of the 80s. Call now, and you'll also receive something far more valuable. The power of pictures.
Hi, I'm Claire, one of the operators here at Life. Call now and I'll send you 13 exciting issues of Life, including your 2 special issues, at a savings of almost 20% off the cover price. Plus, this designer telephone console free with your paid subscription. This offer won't last long, so call right now.
Jailed black nationalist leader Nelson Mandela this week urged the South African government to negotiate with the outlawed African National Congress. His statement was issued by the prisons department and reported to the South African media. It followed Mandela's meeting with President P.W. Botha. Mandela said dialogue is the only way to end violence and bring peace to South Africa. SABC has more on the historic session.
The 2 men spent about 3/4 of an hour together. There were no negotiations as such, and matters of policy weren't discussed. The visit was in fact officially described as a courtesy call. South African Minister of Justice Kobie Coetzee was present during the talks, and he confirmed afterwards that the 2 men had voiced their support for peaceful development. He also described the meeting as cordial. Information Minister Stoffel van der Merwe says the Cape Town meeting has brought Mr. Mandela's release a step closer and has enhanced the prospects of Mandela's participation in negotiations between black leaders and the government. 70-year-old Nelson Mandela has been in prison for over 26 years. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on June the 12th, 1964, along with several other prominent members of the ANC. During the trial in the Pretoria Supreme Court, Nelson Mandela faced charges of sabotage, contravening the Suppression of Communism Act, and conspiring to overthrow the South African government by violent means. He now lives in a house on a prison estate in Paarl near Cape Town. The meeting between President Botha and Mr. Mandela in Cape Town has also been applauded by, among others, South African Foreign Minister Pik Botha and the Zulu leader Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi. The Foreign Minister said it was significant for South Africa that the meeting also had wider positive implications which would benefit everyone in South Africa. He saw it as an event of the utmost contemporary importance. Chief Buthelezi has described the Cape Town meeting as a very good sign for all those who want peaceful development.
Both men agreed on peaceful development in South Africa, that they both desire peaceful developments. I think that is really a breakthrough of great importance for all of us. And it's a breakthrough which, in fact, is consonant with everything that is happening in the world. Because today there's a détente between USSR, that is Russia, and the United States. And we've just seen in Southern Africa a demonstration of this new spirit of resolving problems peacefully, with the Angolan problem solved and the Namibian problem also being the process of being solved, with the talks in Zaire between UNITA and MPLA leaders, and with talks that there could be talks between Renamo and Frelimo government in Mozambique. So, I mean, the fact that now Mr. Botha met Dr. Mandela, if you look at it in the context of that, then you can see that there's nothing out of threat, as it were, in that happening.
Referring to possible peace talks between Inkatha and 3 other organizations, the African National Congress, the United Democratic Front, and the Congress of South African Trade Unions, Chief Buthelezi said contact between these groups was long overdue, but political mudslinging would have to stop first.
You may be wondering why there were no pictures of Nelson Mandela in that report from SABC. That's because South African broadcasting is prevented by law from taking a visual image of any convicted prisoner. The reaction by anti-apartheid activists to the Mandela Botha meeting has been guarded, but another meeting between an anti-apartheid leader and a head of state is being hailed as a breakthrough. Global Vision has details of that session.
The visit was historic. Albertina Sisulu at the White House as part of an effort by the Bush administration to put South Africa higher on the foreign policy agenda. Mrs. Sisulu, president of the United Democratic Front, spoke out for sanctions on a first trip ever outside South Africa.
We call upon all the international world, all the international community to support the scraping of apartheid in our country and comprehensive mandatory sanctions in our country.
And at a later press conference, Mrs. Sisulu also spoke of mounting repression in South Africa in the form of house arrests.
And when we go back home, we'll go back to our restrictions, which means we must be indoors from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And we must not give interviews to the journalists. And we must not address more than 10 people at a time. And we must not address gatherings. Those are the restrictions.
And as the Wall Street Journal reports, the imposition of house arrest is the latest weapon used against activists. The police told one man, quote, "Our aim is to make life unbearable for you." Mrs. Sisulu led a delegation that included other prominent anti-apartheid leaders. And while they saw the Bush meeting as an opportunity to present their case, they have no illusions that the South African government allowed them to come to the United States to pave the way for a visit by this man, F.W. de Klerk, slated to be the next president of South Africa.
There is a sophisticated diplomatic offensive on the part of the South African government. They want to convince the world that the world must give them a chance to continue with apartheid. Obviously, the main reason is to pave way for a possible visit by Mr. de Klerk.
This is Mweli Mzizi of South Africa Now for the CNN World Report.
Just ahead on CNN World Report, Colombia's bitter and bloody war between rival cartels.
Drug addict was controller of the economy, a mystic head of the police, a failed writer, director of publicity, and a paranoid leader of a nation. Hitler, Goering, Himmler, and Goebbels. Why did millions follow these sinister Nazi leaders? Time and life were there. Now you can benefit from their unique perspective in The Third Reich, a new series from Time Life Books. You'll find startling new information about Nazi Germany's devastating impact on the world and fresh insights into the disturbing personalities of its leaders. Call now and receive the first book, The SS, free of charge for 10 days. Learn how Hitler deftly used his elite guard in his rise to power. Keep it and pay only $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Other books will follow, one about every other month, each on the same 10-day free trial basis. Keep only those you want. Cancel anytime. Call now to take an unflinching look at the Third Reich.
A recognizable voice, David Brinkley. You'll meet him on Monday as we talk about the 20th anniversary of the landing on the moon on Sonia Live, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific on CNN.
Treat your family to a day at Ideal Beach on Heaton Lake in Elkhart. Kids of all ages love Ideal Beach. There's a long sandy beach with certified lifeguards, a picnic area, a snack bar, a game room, a kiddie pool, plus paddle boating, miniature golf, and a thrilling water slide. Ideal Beach is easy to get to, east on County Road 6, left on County Road 15, then left again just under the toll road overpass on Heaton Vista Road. It's Ideal Beach, the family fun place on Heaton Lake, Elkhart.
Look and you can see the spirit growing strong. It's a simple thing called pride, and we've had it all along. South Bend, Mishawaka, alive with pride. South Bend, Mishawaka, alive with pride.
This is CNN, a network of Turner Broadcasting System.
Here's a lineup for this half hour of CNN World Report. Cuba looks at the Ochoa trial. Colombia's drug emerald war. Japan on the economic summit. The Philippines development plan. Indonesia hopes for a microchip future. The European Business Channel and gift giving. And St. Vincent tallies the cost of this year's carnival. Welcome back. I'm Dave Michaels. A number of top Cuban officials are out of jobs. It's the latest shakeup in the wake of a drug smuggling scandal. The announcement comes soon after the execution of 4 top officials, including a hero of the Cuban Revolution. Cuba Vision reports on what it says was the consensus within the government for allowing the executions to take place.
For public opinion, the facts and proofs made evident that the exceptional character of capital punishment in the Cuban Penal Code is justified in this occasion. The defendants committed a lèse-majesty crime, contributing to introduce 6 tons of cocaine into our country and propitiating the self-destruction of hundreds of persons. These and other serious offenses were committed by them taking advantage of their positions and authority within the state. Observers commented that it has been set clear, facing this matter openly, that no one is beyond the law in Cuba. The idea that the offenses committed by the defendants contributed to destroy the moral firmness of the Latin American societies and all the modern societies prevailed during the session of the Council of State. One of its members, Armando Cardávalos, pointed out. We are not sanctioning those who present the political program different from ours, but those who committed deep immoral offenses that hurts the sensibility of all honest men, whichever its political program may be. In reference to the international repercussion of the process, the Cuban President Fidel Castro argued. Many persons in the world are amazed. Some say we have given this too much importance. The fact is that in many parts of the world, this has no importance at all. Malversation, robbery, lack of discipline, impunity, turbid businesses has no importance because they are everyday things. But for us, it is very important, and we have given it the importance it should be given. Latin American voices have aroused back in the decision of the Cuban institutions based upon the reality the continent is facing. In some of its countries, the drug mafia degrades the society and difficults the democratic process. Armed institutions involved in drug trafficking have created a situation of social dissoluteness and dread, making impotent the government's authority. In this sense, Vladimir Herzen, member of the Anti-Drug Commission of the Andes Parliament, declared to the press, I sincerely believe that with this Cuban step, Latin America has given a great example to the rest of the world, mainly to those countries with high drug consumption, of what Latin America is able and willing to do to contribute in the effort of each country in order to eradicate this problem. And this is an example for United States, Canada, Spain, France, England, and all the developed countries to see how important it is to stop drug
consumption because they are corrupting our countries, damaging our judicial systems, deteriorating our lives, and even the liberty of many Latin Americans. It was Gretchen Galindo of Cuba Visión for CNN World Report.
There is a violent war taking place in Colombia between drug producers and a cartel of precious stone dealers. It's called the Green War because that's the color of emeralds. Bente Cuatro Oros reports.
A new war has emerged in Colombia, an armed confrontation between the emerald and the drug dealers, which has left 30 people dead so far this year. The main actors of this green war are Gonzalo Rodríguez Gacha, known as El Mexicano, reputed drug dealer, and Víctor Carranza and Gilberto Molina, the stars of multimillionaire emerald business. On February 27th, Gilberto Molina was murdered, together with 18 other persons. As a consequence of this assassination, the emerald dealers armed themselves and formed the Green Cartel. Afterwards, an attempt was made against Victor Linares, chief security officer of El Mexicano. Authorities believe this was a revenge for Molina's death. Later on, Veronica Rivera, the queen of cocaine, was assassinated. Official sources assert this was done following orders of the Mexican group. 4 days later, in a search in an apartment located in the northern section of Bogota, an arsenal was found. 4 of Molina's men were killed, and Ángel Gaitán Maeta, one of the emerald bosses, was captured.
¿Cómo se llama usted? Ángel Gaitán. ¿Cuál es su nombre? ¿Cómo se llama usted?
He asserted that El Mexicano had paid 200 million pesos, about $520,000, to the authorities for them to search the apartment. Gaitán Maeta's brother Orlando, mayor of Chía, a county located 35 kilometers north of Bogota, said that day on a TV newscast that Gonzalo Rodríguez Gacha wanted to finish with the emerald bosses so he could take over the business. The following day, an attempt was made to kill him. The Green War continued as a bomb exploded at Tecminas, a film dedicated to the emerald extraction and distribution. On July 10th, this violent war to control the emerald business had a new development. A nephew of Victor Carranza was killed. This war of the denominated Green Cartel seems like a nightmare that is just beginning.
This is María Elvira Arango from Noticiero 24 Horas, Bogotá, Colombia, for the CNN World Report.
Later in this half hour, we'll take you to a Caribbean carnival on St. Vincent.
At 1,184,880 miles, a Mercedes-Benz 180D is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's most durable car. Just how far can a Mercedes actually go? Frankly, nobody knows.
It was a big day when the new equipment arrived.
It's big. Biggest one I've ever seen.
Of course, being a custom job, some assembly was required.
It'll be a few weeks, people.
But finally, it was ready. One of the world's fastest check-writing systems. Some insurance companies look for ways to get your money from you faster.
I hear she'll do $12,000 an hour.
At Aetna, we look for ways to get your money to you faster.
Everybody knows the pain reliever hospitals use most isn't an aspirin or ibuprofen brand. It's Tylenol. But that's not the whole story. Tylenol is also recommended most for everyday pain by internists, family practitioners, general surgeons, obstetricians, gastroenterologists, pharmacists, and on and on. Tylenol, recommended the most by the people who know the most.
The New Yorker. It's been called the best magazine in the world, probably the best magazine that ever was. See if you agree. Call this number and get 52 weekly issues of the New Yorker for just $25.95. That's $65 off the cover price. Week after week, the quality of the New Yorker speaks for itself.
So call 1-800-257-1257 for 52 weekly issues of the best magazine in the world. Yes, the New Yorker.
Monday. President Bush goes one-on-one with the people of the Netherlands on the final leg of his European trip. His speech live on CNN, 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday.
Japan's Prime Minister, Sosuke Uno, may not have assumed center stage at this weekend's economic summit in Paris, but that's all right with him. Uno has been avoiding the limelight recently out of concern that his involvement in a sex scandal might embarrass his country. But TV Asahi found many Parisians are not shocked by the allegations about Uno. In fact, they don't even know who he is.
On July 11th, before leaving for his first summit meeting, Japanese Prime Minister Sosuke Uno said that everything was going smoothly. This would seem to be a bit optimistic. What do people in Paris think about Uno? Do they even know him? We interviewed people in 4 sections of Paris.
Ah non. J'entends, je regarde la télévision, mais je ne me rappelle pas des noms. Ah bon, pas du tout. Le nom du premier ministre actuel du Japon. Non. Pas premier ministre de Chine, de Chine, du Japon. Ils ont dit que c'était du Japon. Du Japon. Japon? Chine. Je te dis que c'est du Japon, faut les croire, écoute. Non, mais c'est notre premier ministre du Japon. Vous connaissez cette personne? Oui, c'est les femmes. Les femmes. Vous ne l'avez pas vu dans la télé à la...
Si, mais enfin, je regarde très peu les actualités, alors voilà.
Uno, je crois. Ah oui, c'est ça. Alors, qu'est-ce que vous connaissez sur ce monsieur, c'est-à-dire le scandale? Oui, je crois que je ne connais que ça. Je suis désolée, mais c'est absolument tout ce que je connais.
Du Japon? Et Uno?
Out of a total of 60 people interviewed, only 3, all questioned outside the stock exchange, were able to give his name correctly. Although Uno